me feeling like I'm academics. Can't
I got a whole theory about that. Actually, we might do that first. Actually, no. Let's start out with the Durk shit. Chat, if you guys haven't been on the academy.blog, this is where we post most of the court documents that I usually refer to or reference in the stream. If you guys become a Patreon member, you get everything for free. We're also going to post some exclusive vlogs and some things that we probably can't put on YouTube. Like, for example, the Kanye interview, we didn't put on YouTube at all. It's probably other people put it up. We didn't put it up. It's exclusively for our Patreon, just because it's a little, Anyway, so if you guys do get on our Patreon, you'll be able to see all these documents that we put up, and we try to update it probably daily, depending on what the topic or what the update is. For example, if you guys watch also the interview, and I feel like I'm doing a lot of plugging here. I hate to do too much promo when I'm doing my shit. It's either you're going to watch it or not. A real fan, they're going to really check it out. If not, there's no need to convince you. I did an interview with Durk's lawyer, Drew Finland, yesterday, and we kind of broke down a lot of cases he was involved in. He gave me the one of the best compliments I've ever gotten from somebody who's a working professional that's not in the music industry. They say, yo, Ak, my law firm office put your videos on while you were breaking down certain situations and cases. And we actually said, wow, this guy kind of knows a lot. This guy kind of his interpretations and some of the theories and his conclusions are kind of spot on. And we got to give this motherfucker some credit. And I do want to say thank you to Drew Finland. Apparently the entire, his entire office kind of fucks with my content a little bit. And I appreciate him. So he flew out, I believe he flew out from LA to New Jersey, and we did an interview. And, by the way, Durk's team was involved in this. And we were going to talk about the case. We couldn't talk about every detail in the case because in federal cases, there's something called a protective order, which means that, just like how Diddy was mad that the prosecutor was putting out these, allegations. Oh, we found this. And it was tainting maybe the jury selection process or just public opinion, who could be the jury. Judges often put protective orders that kind of bar everybody involved from giving out or speaking on certain details. Yes, there is a protective order on Durk's case. So we had his lawyer on. Yes, he could talk about a motion that's filed in public court. He could tell us what he thinks about that, but he can't tell us who's the snitches. I wanted to know that. Who's the snitches? You get what I'm saying? And Maconio, thank you for the 2. Says, Ak. So we didn't get to that, but we got to a lot of good stuff, and you guys should watch this interview, okay? Now, the interview is also based off of his filing, which came last week. I think it was the 23rd, when he filed a motion for bail reconsideration, okay? Essentially, his theory, or not theory, but his idea was that, and I explained it this morning if you guys caught this morning's stream. Durk got indicted in a superseding indictment because the first indictment had 5 people. Durk was not involved. They put him in after the criminal complaint that locked him up. They then did a superseding indictment. They put him with the other indictment, right? And the superseding indictment, the only new detail that they kind of put in the superseding indictment was that, Durk was rapping and bragging about the killing, and he's the one who set it up. Now, what they referenced in how he was bragging about it was his video, which was supposedly fan-made, and the defense team of Durk, they take exception to it because they're like, Durk didn't make that video. Fans did. Fans took the news clip and infused it with a Durk song where Quando was saying, no, and then overlaid it with a video that wasn't even real. You know what I mean? So Durk's team is saying, if you indicted him because you made up a story and presented facts or alleged facts that were just fabricated, that indictment shouldn't be legit. So that should be dismissed. Now, I think it's going to be a long shot to get that really dismissed because I don't think that's the only reason why Durk's indicted. So, but still, it becomes legal. This is legal tennis and legal, racquetball, whatever you want to call it. Then you get to the other part, which is, they want him to get out on bail. Now, typically, murder or conspiracy murder, and murder for hire kind of is conspiracy murder, even though it's a slightly different statute in the federal guidelines. Because it's a conspiracy of some sorts, they don't want to let out someone who is in a murder for hire, because if the person don't got to pull the trigger to get someone killed and you're alleging that they could call the shots for someone to get killed, why would you let them out that maybe they could call the shots for witnesses to get killed or maybe other people to get killed? So that's really the government's case. But Durk's team submitted this reconsideration for bail because they said they submitted fake shit. Now, the government has actually clapped back, and they clapped back today, chat. And by the way, if you want to get this document again, the academy.blog, you guys could go there. Just become a Patreon member. You get every document, all type of documents for free. You guys can read it. I try to read most things on stream, but sometimes, we skim through things, and I try to sum it up. So here is what was filed today. And you can see, filed 4/28, and today is actually the 30th. But, so it was actually filed 2 days ago, right? But it popped up today. But it's a memorandum before this oral argument that's going to happen, I believe, in June, right? So they're answering back to Durk's team to say, y'all posted fake shit. Y'all used the fan video, and did y'all use the fan video to indict him? So this is what they said. They said the defendant's charged with directing 6 hitmen. Wow. So, by the way, we never get discovery. So let me give you a method of madness of how I break shit down. I don't get discovery, right? So the people who get discovery are the lawyers, right? Discovery is always a protective order on the discovery, which means you can't leak discovery to the public. You can't, right? However, when it comes to, us or interested parties like myself, you have to read through the detention hearings and all these other like ancillary documents because they're going to kind of put a little bit more of what they have against Durk to kind of say why he ain't going to get out. So that's why these things are important. We're going to read this, and it's going to tell us a little bit more about how the government or how the feds see this case against Durk. So they say Durk is charged with directing 6 hitmen to travel across the country to hunt and kill his rival, Taekwon Bowman, which is Quano Rondo. The defendant allegedly orchestrated and financed the brazen murder plot that culminated with the shooters ambushing Taekwon Bowman's vehicle at a busy gas station in broad daylight and killing his cousin, Lil Pop. Now, this is why I keep telling y'all got to go watch this interview with me and Drew Finland. I've been reading all these detention hearings and all these filings by the government, and I wanted to see substantial shit. Like, for example, we have somebody who claims Durk told him he was going to pay him for the murder. That's a snitch. They haven't even alluded to a snitch yet. Not saying there isn't, but they haven't alluded to it yet. I wanted to hear how much money, right? Because, again, if you charge someone for murder for hire, if you hired someone to do a murder, at some point in court, you got to prove the payment process or how much was promised. Was it delivered? How did that, you know what I mean? So I'm wondering how much, whatever. The only thing we've seen so far in the indictment is that after the murder, they went to In-N-Out and the killers discussed supposed receiving payment, but there was nothing more, no more details. So that still doesn't connect it to Durk. So I'm interested to see that. And I was reading this document trying to figure that out. We still don't know. It says following the detention hearing in 2024, December, the court ordered the defendant detained based on a flight risk and ongoing danger. It's reasoned that no conditions of release would reasonably assure the safety of the community, finding that the defendant uses his money, influence, and power to endanger individuals whom he perceives as a threat. Okay, the court also found that the defendant was a flight risk based on his attempt to flee the country immediately after learning of his co-conspirator's arrest. Again, you guys got to go watch this interview. But when you do watch the interview, Drew Finland has a reasonable explanation of why Durk was booking multiple flights. According to what he told me, and I'm giving you a spoiler if you didn't watch the interview, Drew Finland said Durk loves Dubai. He likes to go to Dubai. I asked him specifically, did Durk have a booking in Dubai, business in Dubai? He said no. Durk has had a pattern of going to Dubai a lot. He likes Dubai. And then I said, well, why book like 3 flights to Dubai? And he's like, well, entertainers or people of influence or a lot of money, sometimes when they're moving quickly off of a whim or whatever, sometimes they might book multiple flights and they're trying to establish their travel plans. And that's it. Now, granted, I'm going to be honest with you, it's kind of weak, right? It's kind of a weak explanation. But according to his lawyer, there's a pattern of Durk going to Dubai or just randomly wanting to go to Dubai, right? Obviously, the government is going to see this differently. Nigga, you only book flights to go to Dubai after we locked up the co-conspirators. Now, here's also the thing. Durk going to Dubai. So Durk's team or Durk's lawyer, Drew Finland, said the prosecutors mixed up the facts to make it look worse than it really was to the first district judge. I think it was a magistrate judge. because they try to say Durk booked flights to Italy, to this place, and they said no. All of the flights were going to the same place. It was just connecting flights, but the feds never interpreted the whole itinerary. So they would be like, oh, he's going to Italy. No. There was a flight that stopped in Italy, but it was still going to Dubai. So every flight Durk supposedly was getting on was going to Dubai. He was never going to Switzerland. He was always going to Dubai. That's supposedly what their story is. That's what they told me. And his lawyer told me on the podcast that you guys got to watch. Okay? Cool. So let's keep it going. So the defendant now seeks reconsideration of the order, but the defendant application fails to address the facts that the court relied on when it made its flight risk and danger findings. So essentially what they're saying is like, yo, the court agreed with us that Durk is a flight risk. Fuck what he's talking about saying he loves Dubai. Nigga, you booked a flight or 3 different flights to try to get out of the country upon hearing, and I don't know if they have proof that he heard of it, but upon the indictment and arrest warrants for your cronies, your OTF homies. So they're like, the first judge already denied bond using that as a reason. You still haven't addressed that, right? So even this whole thing like, oh no, he likes Dubai. They're like, yo, the court didn't find that credible last time. Why the fuck they gonna find it credible this time? He failed to present information that wasn't not known to the defendant at the time of the hearing. So they're saying, yo, the first time we did bail, you presented all the same shit you're presenting now, but you're a flight risk, and flight risk is one of the things that will have someone being denied bail. Let me look at the chat. See y'all spamming. Are we good? We good? Mic good? Not muted? We straight? Oh man. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me just make sure. I get so locked in because, like, I read from that monitor. That's, like, my main monitor that's being, and OBS is over there. So, like, I'm, like, locked in there. But for chat, I got to go down here. If you ever wonder, like, what the fuck I'm doing, right? So, when I look here, chat. When I look there, I'm reading to y'all. When I look there, I'm OBS, scene, whatever. When I look there, this is, like, my personal, like, research monitor. So, I got 4 monitors. Okay. We're kind of good. All right, perfect. So it says, instead he offers essentially the same bond package the court already rejected and seeks to relitigate an immaterial issue about when certain of his violent rap lyrics were written. Indeed, the crux of the defendant's application is that he did write lyrics about greenlighting someone's murder, just that it wasn't this murder. Oh, wow. So, interesting enough, the government, the feds are basically admitting that they were wrong. They're admitting that, all right, yeah. When we use that song that probably was recorded before Lil Pop died, yeah, you weren't talking about Lil Pop or Quando Rondo because there was an attempt on their life then. But you were talking about other murders. Like you were talking about greenlighting other murders. Like you're a murderer. That's what the government is saying. But the timing of the defendant's lyrics and whether or not he commercializes violence through rap has little to no bearing on this detention analysis before the court. The issue is a narrow one. Has defendant presented new information not known to him in December 2024 that has a material bearing on whether he should be detained pending trial? The answer is no. The government respectfully requests that the court summarily denies the defendant's application for reconsideration. Okay? They go over this idea of him trying to flee. They said soon after law enforcement executed warrants on the other people, the FBI learned that a defendant had booked 3 international flights, including one to a non-extradition country. The defendant skipped the first 2 flights and was arrested when he showed up to board a private jet scheduled to leave the United States a short time later. On November 7, 2024, the grand jury returned the first superseding indictment against him, and they identified the defendant at co-conspirator 1 and alleged that he formed and was the leader of OTF, a group of individuals who engaged in violence, including murder, blah, blah, blah. And they did it at the direction of banks to maintain their status, which, by the way, that's almost like summing up a RICO, but I don't think they hit him with a RICO. Anyway, murder for hire is it kind of falls under conspiracy, though. Anyway, defendant is ordered and detained. Okay, so basically they agreed that he was ordered and detained, but they address these lyrics, right? So the court is held a detention hearing and considered evidence in December that was submitted by the parties. And among other things, the defendant made the same argument that he now raises now. He claims that the lyrics cited in the introductory allegation in the first superseding indictment about green light and violence could not be about Lil Pop's murder because the defendant wrote these lyrics before Lil Pop died. Okay? During the hearing, the court addressed the matter, finding that the consistency and timing of the lyrics has some relevance, but marginal to the dangerousness issue, which is the issue before me today. After consideration of evidence, the court ordered the defendant to be detained based on a flight risk and ongoing danger to the community, okay? The court subsequently issued a thorough written detention order. Okay, so they're basically saying, yo, you guys didn't make a decision because of lyrics. You guys made a decision because of other things, and this guy's now trying to use lyrics to try to wiggle his way out of this, right? Okay. So the court also relied on evidence that this was not the defendant's first murder to hire plot. Noting in a separate matter in Chicago, the defendant is alleged to have engaged in similar conduct. Now remember, Durk hasn't been officially charged in that case. I think they're waiting on somebody to flip. But they're saying that, they've been teasing this. Yo, Durk is a subject of another murder for hire, and it's the murder for hire plot to kill the guy who killed D-Thing or was allegedly involved in D-Thing's murder. If you don't know, D-Thing, his brother died at Club O a couple years ago. And after that, Durk has rapped about, yo, the night my brother died, if you was there, you died too, or you dying too. And it was like, next day, we blah, blah, blah. Next day, the ops was down 2. And supposedly 2 people did die the next day after his brother died. And, they're going to use my favorite song against Durk, but they haven't charged him for that yet, though. Okay, so they're basically saying the defendant's alleged to engage in similar conduct, that he offered money for people to kill those responsible for his brother's murder, D-Thing, and more specifically offered to pay money for any gangster disciples that could get killed, okay? It says, as a result, the court found that the material proffered by the government supports the conclusion that the defendant uses money, power, and influence, and whatever perceives as a threat. And then they use a brief that is actually under seal. So essentially, there's a government brief under seal for the other case that literally says Durk, like they haven't charged him yet for the other case, right? The other murder for hire in Chicago, but they're claiming Durk is the one who paid for the guy who got killed murder because Durk thought he was involved or he killed his brother. Defendant's application fails to raise any new evidence, and this is what they're going with now. They're saying there's no new evidence, but we should go down a little bit more because I want to read everything else. So, give me 1 second. All right. So they kind of here admit that the fan-made shit is real, and they admit that, yo, we might have made a mistake with that, but they're saying, Judge, your decision wasn't made on our mistake. It was made about other reasons, and what we put forward that was a mistake was a really nominal and marginal, very small issue. Anyway, here's another big thing that kind of came up, right? Okay, cool. So here, it says, moreover, the defendant's proffer that his fans, rather the defendant himself, has created the videos linking him to Lil Pop's murder is immaterial to the defendant's danger of flight. The defendant was not detained because of the videos his fan created. It was detained because he's alleged to be the leader of a violent organization, because he orchestrated, funded an execution-style murder with machine guns at a busy gas station, because he tried to flee the country after his co-conspirators were arrested. Check this out. But even, very important right here, chat. Check this out. But even if the lyrics or videos had some bearing on the detention analysis, they corroborated the defendant's danger. The defendant has repeatedly used his pulpit music as a voice of violence, publicly rapped about paying for murders, hunting opponents with machine guns, bounty hunters in Beverly Hills, and in other lyrics that have striking similarity to the modus operandi, which is the MO, used to kill Lil Pop. As the court found in ordering the defendant's detention, the defendant uses his money, power, influence to endanger individuals whom he perceives as a threat, and this is where we get a footnote. Check this out. For example, the defendant was featured on another artist's song in which he raps, I don't want no niggas who you catch, I want the ones I paid for. Trolling ass, we shot your homie. And that was him on Gucci's Rumor, okay? Then they point out something else, and they say there's a song called Scoom His Ass, featuring Booney Mo. It says available at whatever. It says poppin' traffic. We in Cali riding through Beverly Hills with choppers. dying to see the oppas. Then, it's another lyric, bounty hunter. He ready to crack that little bitch down to get her off. Then, they continue by saying, although Schoomer's ass doesn't appear to have been officially released by the defendant, the lyrics are authentic as the government seized the audio file from a co-conspirator's cellular phone pursuant to a federal search warrant. So they're saying that there's unreleased songs that Durk has out there that seemingly is rapping about the murder that Durk might try to use the same tactic. Oh, we never released that song. Durk didn't release it. How you know it's not AI? Prove that this is a real song. They're saying, well, one of his co-conspirators, they went through his phone and found that song in full on that person's phone. It says, and they found it after they got a search warrant for the phone. It says that has been produced to the defense. Okay, so in this case, because of his lyrics, it's true that words have power and that the defendant's words about green light and violence and placing bounties may be admission of criminal conduct. That's for the jury to decide. But this case is not about how the defendant made his money. It's about how he allegedly chose to spend his money and wield his power in August 2022 on death and violence. Conclusion. For the foregoing reasons, the government respectfully requests that this court deny the application and maintain its order denying or detaining defendant pending trial in this matter. Okay? That's the new update. They want to deny Durk's bail because they feel he has not brought anything new to the table. And this whole thing about, oh, they use some lyrics or they use a fan-made video, they're saying that wasn't the main factor in consideration when he was denied bond, and they want that to be quelled. Now, there's still another conversation to be had, which is called a motion to dismiss. That's going to be considered separately, which is if they use this fan-made video, which is basically fake evidence, to indict him, should the indictment be held true? We'll see if that comes out. And apparently there's going to be a separate thing about the minutes or the order or the transcript of the grand jury. And I don't know if we'll be able to see that. It'll probably be under seal, if you ask me. But it'll be available for the defense to review, if you ask me. All right, cool. Enough legalese shit. Anything else with the Durk trial? We talked to Durk this week. We talked to his lawyer. Durk put out a statement. Let's look at the statement Durk put out. The statement read as this. It said, the recent developments in Durk's legal case have brought a harsh truth to light. The government presented false evidence for a grand jury to indict him. And then what they say, this isn't justice. That's a violation of the very system that's supposed to protect all of us. Durk has always used music to tell stories, express pain, and to heal, and yet those same lyrics are now being used against him. We refuse to stay silent as black artists continue to be criminalized for their creativity. Rap is art. As family, we are asking the public, the fans, and the culture to stand with us, stand for the truth, stand for fairness, stand for the voice. Free Durk. Okay? We'll see if that's successful. I saw his wife post it. By the way, can we address this real quick? Because I've seen people also talking about it. And, people, sometimes we put narratives on people. I've never talked to India Royale. I think that's her name. But I've seen videos going around. They were like, yo, India's cheating on Durk. You know what I mean? She was like, yo, look. There's a video where India got her hand on another man's lap or something. Like, I don't know what the fuck they were saying. Let's see. Let's see if we can find it. Okay. Oh, she addressed it too. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, so this is a video, and they said Lil Durk baby mom spotted with a hand on a dude's leg at a party. Okay, so India is here, okay? This is some guy, we don't know who it is, but they're saying her hand was near his dick. And people are like, yo, she going already. She going already. She cheating on Schmirkio. You feel me?
Lil Durk's BM India spotted his hand on dude's leg at party.
And wait, was it there? I don't see her hand nowhere. Hey. Oh, they partying up in the hotel suite? Okay. Wait, what are we looking at? supposedly is here. Okay, so right here, they're saying her hand is on this guy's lap or like on like his thigh, and they're like, "Yo, she's going. She's fucking this guy. What? Why is she rubbing that nigga inner thigh down? Like, come on, that look like she about to slop him up." Chat, I'm like, come on, bro. I know the internet likes to just take little instances and run with it. I don't know what she said as a response, but it's gonna take a little bit more to convince me. I actually do believe that India is probably more of a loyal woman than the majority of women we see out there. So I'm gonna want to believe that she's loyal, all right? But anyway, okay. So let's hear her response. This is her response of what happened. Here we go.
Yeah, you a grown ass man. Do y'all remember when me and you were family? Do we know you? Yeah, you a grown ass man. Do y'all remember when me and you used to like lay concrete, change tires, go to war? Now these niggas on the internet gossiping all day. Like, what's happening?
Now, I do got to say this, even though she's talking to whoever this commenter is. India, we remember when women used to stay in the kitchen. But now y'all on TikTok and y'all on everywhere twerking all day, showing y'all ass, and y'all doing all type of fucking debauchery. We got to stop this narrative talking about why are men doing X, Y, and Z when women ain't doing none of the things they used to do. Women used to be seen and not heard. They used to be in the kitchen. They used to be doing laundry. They used to be taking care of the kids. Now all we see y'all doing is shot o'clock, twerking, doing all type of fuckery. So please miss me with the bullshit. I don't want to hear no woman in 2025 talk about what men used to do when no women currently are doing anything that women used to do back in the day. Women these days, they're only concerned with that shit. Let's keep it a beat. We just got to be honest. You'll be like, oh, I missed it. Women be like, yo, I miss the days when men used to do construction. And I miss the day when you used to make a sandwich. I miss those days. These days, chicks only want to be in Chanel, on the yachts, want to be twerking in the club, bottle section, all type of fuckery. None of them is saying, let me go take care of the household. Let me go raise the kid. We don't see that. So again, if y'all roles and y'all expectations have changed, why can't niggas change their expectations? Anyway, let me go back to her explanation. What was it? Sorry. This is her explanation right here.
Do we know you? Yeah, you a grown ass man. Do y'all remember when me and you used to like lay concrete, change tires, go to war? Now these niggas on the internet gossiping all day. Like, what's happening?
Oh, this is the dude she was with? So record the dude you put your hand on, too. I guess this is the guy?
Lil Durk BM India's.
Oh, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I don't think she going, bro. I don't think she going yet. And I don't really think she will go. I don't think she will go. You feel me? I think Durk an innocent man, but if India ever did some bullshit like that, India get clapped. I mean, Durk can't do that. Well, I was just trying to, India know what type of time it is. You ain't fucking with a goofy. You fucking with Schmirkio, man. You and that nigga will be found somewhere on a beach in a barrel. I mean, Durk can't do nothing, but I'm just saying, come on now. You ain't gonna play with Durk like that. Come on, stop playing. All right, okay. That's our Durk update. Do I think his bail will be granted? No. I think the only way Durk's bail will be granted is if Durk secured or somehow magically had like affidavits or like a recording to say, hey, which would never happen, I think. Say someone who was involved or is charged with it be like, yo, Durk knew nothing. But even then, they would think Durk paid him off or coerced him. But somebody who has to be like, oh, yeah, we're on a plane with Durk, but Durk ain't know that was going to happen. I don't know. Like, it's kind of very tough for Durk to, it's very tough if you ask me, for Durk to get through all of that. All right?